Welcome to Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital Somerset's Health Talk. I am Dr. Douglas Oshinsky of Robert Wood Johnson Physician Enterprises, Warren Internal Medicine. Athletic trainers are an important part of the healthcare team. They work not only with athletes, as their name suggests, but also with everyday active people who deal with physical injury or want to reduce the risk of injury and improve their health. Athletic trainers at Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital Somerset and RWJ Barnabas Health have partnered with schools throughout our region, including Rutgers University and most recently Piscataway School District, to help the young athletes prevent and recover from injuries. Joining us today to talk more about the role of athletic trainers are Ryan Stevens, Manager for Athletic Training, Fitness, and Physical Therapy for Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital Somerset and Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital Hamilton, and David Borchat is the Certified Athletic Trainer for RWJ Barnabas Health, who serves as the Director of Athletic Training Services for Rutgers Athletics. Welcome to the show. Let's first start out with who you are, background about yourself. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. You want to start off first, Ryan?
Sure. So I'm a certified athletic trainer with 15 going on 16 years of professional experience. Over the course of my career, I've worked in middle schools, high schools, professional sports, clinical setting. I've also, throughout my career, become certified in various fitness specialties as well. So I've also dabbled in fitness. And over the course of my career, I've really grown to the point where I wanted to be in more of a bigger impact position through a leadership model, doing more public outreach through the realm of athletic training. So, over the course of my career, I've built up to the point where I'm now manager of athletic training services for RWJ Barnabas Health at our Somerset and our Hamilton campus. And it's a really exciting position because I get to not only still directly be a clinical certified athletic trainer out in the field working with my team, but I also have a great team that helps to go out and deliver those healthcare services in our community. And I have a continued passion for educating as well. I do a lot of public speaking in the realm of athletic training, sports medicine, and fitness and leadership development as well. And it's really exciting to see where I've been in my career and how it's grown over the years to the point where I'm in a position I absolutely, truly love and passionate about every day now with having a team of athletic trainers.
And David?
Yeah, so also a certified athletic trainer with just over 17 years of experience, nearly all, in fact, all with collegiate settings, university settings, athletic training with student athletes. Really enjoy that. Find that my passion is kind of helping them navigate that transitional period, going to college. Oftentimes, working within the demands of collegiate athletics and the academic side of that, and just everything that comes along with that. So find great pleasure in trying to kind of build that here at Rutgers University and providing the best care for those student athletes.
And the difference between an athletic trainer and a professional personal trainer is?
The biggest difference is athletic trainers are allied healthcare professionals. Personal trainers are fitness professionals. They collaborate in a lot of great ways to help a lot of people. They work hand in hand, and there are athletic trainers who, like myself, have become certified strength and conditioning specialists and have specialties in the realm of fitness. The big difference is in the educational prep. To become a certified athletic trainer, it's an entry-level master's degree program now, plus you have to pass a national certification exam and then become state licensed in the state that you practice and maintain your state licensing. And every 2 years, 50 hours of continuing education in various medical realms, concussion care, other healthcare topics. Whereas in the realm of fitness, personal trainers, it's a little different route to get there. It doesn't necessarily require state licensing or any particular degree. It's more so just being an effective coach and knowing fitness and knowing the human body and understanding that. And there's various levels of personal trainers out there. But the big difference is athletic trainers are healthcare professionals. Despite the confusion of the name, athletic training is a sports medicine name, and personal trainers are in the fitness realm.
So the important thing is you're part of the whole healthcare team.
Correct.
You have extensive education behind what you do, extensive skills that you do. You have to continue to recertify yourself. So the important thing is you're part of the whole healthcare team, and no one should ever doubt the fact that an athletic a trainer is part of their healthcare team.
Absolutely.
And this year, for instance, the theme for this year's National Athletic Training Month was ATs are part of the healthcare team. So what do you envision yourself now and in the future?
Well, I think that that slogan was important because it did effectively give people confidence in when there's an athletic trainer present, it's a member of a healthcare team present. And whether that's a parent or the athlete themselves or a sport organizer or an event organizer, I think just understanding that what the name implies is that there's somebody there that is trained to be able to manage those healthcare needs of those participants in that activity, which is ultimately very important. Obviously that they have the confidence in what we're doing. I believe that athletic trainers are going to continue to serve in that role, and I think we'll be able to expand a little bit within that.
Well, I actually see you expanding even much further, since Americans are trying to become more and more athletic, and there's a lot of weekend warriors out there who need as much help as possible. And again, since RWJBH has partnered with schools, you're also doing things to prevent them from needing things down the road. How is that partnership with Rutgers and with Piscataway School District? What has it done with you guys?
Well, when it comes to Piscataway, Piscataway is one of our 23 partnerships throughout Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas Health, where we provide outreach athletic training support. We have a number of schools that we provide the sole athletic trainer for the district. We have schools that have a district-hired full-time athletic trainer, and we provide a second athletic trainer or a third athletic trainer to support the healthcare of their student athletes and implement those injury prevention and reduction programs. And then we have a multitude of partners in secondary schools, high school, middle school, as well as some small colleges, and then Rutgers Athletics, which Dave will speak to, where we provide that supplemental support. If an athletic trainer who works for that location needs a day off, or they get sick, or they have a big event and they need a second or a third athletic trainer to come in and support them, we're that team that those partnerships can call on to come in and support them, so that the student athletes who are taking part in their activities there are able to have the adequate amount of healthcare needed to handle the volume of student athletes and the volume of activities. And most recently, we were excited to partner with the Piscataway School District. They have a leave replacement there that we're filling right now. So Chris Krefsky is their head athletic trainer at the school. He works for the school district. And then Danielle Tominelli is one of our per diem athletic trainers, and she's filled in fantastically there to join their team and is there every day with him throughout the last month. And she's going to be helping out a little bit in the fall as well too, during that leave replacement. And that's just one example of how we partner with our schools. And then beyond the leave replacement, we're going to still be an option for them just to help to provide that supplemental care. And in addition to that, we do a lot of education and we do a lot of collaboration with their community projects for those school communities. So we're highly involved in that part.
So, for instance, if someone out in the audience has someone who has a child that's in Piscataway School District, and they're an athlete, they're either on a soccer team, they're on a lacrosse team, they're on a football team, what are you specifically doing with them?
So the athletic trainers at any of our schools are there after school hours. Typically, they usually get there before the end of the school day. And they're there just to be a resource for the student athletes who have injuries, whether it be an injury that's more acute that happened traumatically. If it happened the day before and they were on the road and the athletic trainer wasn't with them, and when they get back to school the next day, they can perform that evaluation. Or, it's a situation where it's an ongoing ache or pain that's been lingering and they're seeking out the athletic trainer to perform a thorough evaluation and diagnose what's going on and determine whether further advanced treatment is needed, determine a rehab plan of care, if a referral is warranted, working collaboratively with physicians, physical therapists, other healthcare professionals and specialists as well too. So they're in the trenches there every day at our schools, helping on a daily basis, catching those head injuries, catching those ankle sprains that happen right when they happen, but then also catching those ones that slip through the cracks that might happen, that slowly come on over time, and being a resource for them right in their community and in their school. And
at Rutgers or other collegiate, what are you doing over there?
Very similar, obviously just at a different setting, different level of athleticism. For us, we employ 21 athletic trainers. We work collaboratively with registered dietitians, sports psychologists, and licensed psychologists and licensed physicians to provide that same type of care. Obviously, to be there for acute injury and management, first aid and emergency services when needed, and then also to see those student athletes through the life cycle of their injury or illness, to be able to make the appropriate referrals, to be able to see them come back to their participation and do that in a safe manner, to bridge the gap and communicate with a lot of other healthcare professionals, as well as some of those other pieces that Ryan mentioned, the strength and conditioning specialist or the sport coaches themselves, the parents sometimes of the student athletes, just to ensure that not only are they being helped through their injury or illness at the front end, but then also making a successful and safe return to the sport that they love and ultimately to be successful in.
So basically a leadership position that you've got, that you're basically guiding everyone through everything.
So to speak, yeah.
Yeah, athletic trainer serves almost as the case manager for these injuries. So they determine plan of care, they perform an evaluation, determine if other healthcare professionals or other resources are needed to help that continuity of care. They communicate with those other professionals to bridge that gap, to ensure continuity of care. And they serve really as that case manager for those injuries as they occur. And we see hundreds of injuries at each of our locations. It's a very high volume. You're not just seeing one athlete coming in for a half-hour time slot. You might have 15 kids come in at the same time, and you have to triage and get them all controlled and evaluate and make determinations very quickly about playing status, and then manage that case as they continue beyond return to play.
Well, again, since you're doing the school district, middle school and high school, not only that, but you've also got growth spurts to think about. Mm-hmm. You've got all of the social aspects also of what goes on in a middle schooler and a high schooler. And you being part of Rutgers and other collegiates, it's the whole process. I've got a D1 school, and I've got to manage these kids either through 4 or 5 years of their athletic scholarship, or if they're not a scholarship, walk-on, to make sure that they make it through, and to give them the nutritional counseling, et cetera, to get them through it, and to make them as most productive as possible. Yes. And it's not easy.
No, not always.
It's different every day.
I give you a lot
about it.
I give you a lot for doing it with middle schoolers and high schoolers, and I give you a lot for doing it with college kids.
Well, a big part of it, Dr. Shinsky, is the education, for David and his collegiate athletes, as well as our middle school and high school athletes. We are doing a lot of education when it comes to not only the parents and the coaches and the school district members, but the community members about these various types of injuries, doing seminars, doing workshops, doing little resources, little initiatives to educate, because what we've found, especially at the middle school and high school level, is the more you educate and help them understand their conditions, they're more likely to come to you about those conditions, but they also learn how to self-manage. And the self-management will not take the place of the athletic trainer, but it'll help to improve that outcome of those injuries. And also when it comes to things such as concussion, you don't want that to go undetected, and you want them to be very educated with that.
Again, are you about to say something?
If I could add, at the collegiate level, we look at what's happening at the middle school, high school level, and what Ryan and his groups are doing with those as a huge resource, because when they get to us, there's a big difference in those athletes who have been educated, who understand some of these concepts, versus the ones that don't, or that are still clinging to some of the misconceptions of their parents or grandparents from generations ago. And so it really does enhance their experience when they get to us and they've had some of that exposure, and it makes what we do a lot easier.
You mean no pain, no gain, right?
Try to avoid that. Exactly.
Right.
So again, the outreach seems like it's very important also.
Absolutely, and we lump our athletic training program mostly into that outreach category. Yes, there are athletic trainers who work in the clinical setting, and they do a variety of other roles that are in-house, but when it comes to that outreach partnership, probably more so than any other healthcare professional that works for our hospital system, the athletic trainers are embedded in our communities and supporting our communities on a daily basis, interacting with parents and student athletes, whether it's providing healthcare, providing education, working on collaborative initiatives. We have coming up, some of our school districts have these health and wellness fairs, and our athletic trainers are attending these to be a resource for the parents, whether they have student athletes or not as their children, to talk about various aspects of healthcare, and do fun little spins on some educational talks that parents can come through during these healthcare events. Just little things like that we'd love to be involved with. And then, like I also mentioned too, a big part is education. Multiple times a year we host, as a Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas Health System, continuing education seminars that are approved by our National Accreditation Board for continuing ed credits, that are geared toward a variety of clinical topics as well as topics just to help the athletic trainers in the state of New Jersey be more effective in their role, enhance their communication skills, enhance their interpersonal skills as well, because that also plays a key role in the effectiveness of what we do as healthcare professionals, is not just the clinical skill set that we have, but also the communication, the interpersonal soft skills that we have working with those we do.
And at the same time, you were talking about the fact that it's not only athletes that you're communicating with.
Correct, yeah, and that's what's really exciting. I think David and I share this excitement about our profession, even though we have different focus areas right now, is that David alluded to it, the skill set, it goes beyond just athletes. And being able to evaluate someone biomechanically, evaluate the functional stability of a joint, being able to do special tests to determine if it's a sprain or a strain or various other medical diagnoses, that can be applied whether you play a sport or not. And nowadays across the country, athletic trainers are working with public safety, they're working with fire departments, they're working with companies such as Amazon and other industries, Coca-Cola, to be that resource to reduce the risk of on-the-job injuries. And that's really exciting to see where that's going, because athletic trainers now have more opportunities, and it's a significantly growing field. It's one of the fastest growing fields in the country because of the fact that athletic trainers are expanding. The effectiveness of our skill set is not just being applied in that athletic setting, but also in the clinical setting, in physician office, in rehab settings, but also in that industrial setting, the occupational public health and public safety setting.
Again, leadership, being able to figure out the physiology of how to avoid injuries as well as what we do when we have an injury.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Concussion. Everyone wants to know about concussions. Concerns about it. Tell me, as an athletic trainer, your involvement in that.
It's a big topic. I'll try and give you a not so big answer, but yeah, it's a very important topic. It's a hot topic, when we include, the media involvement and people starting to make lifestyle decisions based on the effects of concussion and things like that from a young age, all the way up into their adult life. So it is big, and we want to make sure that people do have good education. And luckily, because it's so big, there's a lot of exposure and a lot of research and a lot of healthcare efforts put towards making sure that we understand it. With that, for us specifically in the athletic training world, it's redundant with what we've already said athletic trainers do. We're there acutely when the injury may or may not happen, to be there on the sidelines to determine, did this athlete suffer a sport-related concussion? And then if they did, how do we manage that? And that starts immediately. The very first form of management is to modify their activity or remove them from activity. And sometimes that's the hardest part is recognizing if that injury occurred or not. And that's where I think athletic trainers, to self-promote our profession a little bit, are important, because everybody else is doing something else. The athletes are trying to compete. The coaches are trying to coach performance and skill, and parents are cheering or trying to manage these other things. Sometimes those people aren't able to identify these things that could be injurious to them, and they're often subtle. And so with an athletic trainer there who's devoted to the safety of that athlete or that athlete and their health care, we're able to identify those or maybe investigate those potentials a little bit more to see if a concussion has occurred. And if so, like I said, to begin that management process, to expose them to advanced assessment tools, to look at their balance, to look at their cognitive function, to look at even some of their affectual systems like emotion, personality, and things like that, psychological and cognitive issues that can come with that. And then also on the back end, to be there when it's time to return to their sport. So, once we get past knowing if it's a concussion, there's a period of treatment, and then we have to make sure that they can return to their sport safely. And again, I think that's probably where some of the other big errors are made, is in returning to activity too soon, whether that be classroom activity in academics or physical activity in practice. We have very good systems in place to kind of stepwise progressions for returning athletes to those activities safely and ultimately to make sure that they can perform at their best when they do.
It's such an important subject. We see it even in the major leagues. We've seen recently, if we look at locally, Michael Conforto getting, first of all, they couldn't even make a decision at the time it happened whether or not he had, and was actually an athletic coach that went out to see him that said, yes, I think this is a concussion, we've got to get him off the field, which the professional athlete really didn't want to do. And the hard part is for you to be able to say to the person, listen, you need to come off, we need to take a look. And then it's figuring out the length of time. And then, again, even more important is, when are they able to go back on?
Right, and RWJ Barnabas Health is really committed to being on the forefront of concussion care and management. We have an entity out of our St. Barnabas side known as the Matthew J. Morahan Center. They've been doing research and concussion specialty services for a number of years. And then in conjunction with our athletic trainers, since 2010 as a healthcare system providing concussion management in our communities, the big thing is right now is updating our protocols, and not only updating our protocols and making sure that David's team and my team and our St. Barnabas counterpart, their team is all on the same page with how we manage, how we evaluate, with the sideline assessment, with our visual acuity tests, with the special testing that we do, but then also that active recovery, because we're no longer cocooning these athletes. We want them at sub-symptom threshold, being active with appropriate exercise. So we're working together as teams to really make sure that we are all on the same page with how we're doing this as a system, but then we're also doing a lot of education for athletic trainers at our state symposium this year for athletic training. One of our experts was one of the featured presenters on concussion, talking about active recovery. And we're really proud that RWJ Barnabas Health is doing a lot of great things, not only with researching concussion recovery, but also fully investing in our athletic trainers so that we are being consistent and staying at the most recent trends when it comes to that.
Which, again, concussions have become so important in athletes, and the fact that RWJ Barnabas Health is such a forefront of concussion care. And it's the ability to recognize that it's happened, what to do about it, bring that athlete down a little bit so that they can still stay active and keep their muscle strength, et cetera, at whatever we can keep it at, and then be able to figure out how to get them back onto the field as quickly as possible. And that's not something many other health systems have set up. It's nice to know that we have that available.
Absolutely. It's a continuity of care. That's the biggest thing when it comes to concussions and any other injury too. We work as a team. You mentioned in the beginning, we are part of the healthcare team. But when it comes to concussions, it's not just the athletic trainer who does it. It's the athletic trainer working in conjunction with the overseeing physician, and then potentially even a physical therapist doing some post-concussion rehab if there's delayed recovery. And then potentially even bringing in the strength and conditioning coaches to ensure there's modified, conditioning programs, making sure the coaches are aware of modifications or limitations, making sure the parents are aware. And then maybe you might need a neuropsychologist if more complicated case. So again, going back to that case manager and that team approach, that's really where we fit in with that.
Again, you're part of the whole healthcare team, and actually for an athlete, one of the most important parts of the healthcare team itself. And being that that RWJ Barnabas Health has done this at Somerset, Hamilton is doing it up at the Essex part of the network. It's nice to know that it's available, throughout the whole system.
Absolutely.
And it's nice to know that we also have athletic trainers doing this. Those of you who are educated, who understand and keep up with everything. Last thoughts on what athletes and non-athletes should know.
Again, probably I could talk all day, but to be a little bit brief, I think it's important that the community understands what athletic trainers are, as we've spoken about also. The parents are being aware of the resource that, if they're subjecting their son or daughter to an activity, that maybe they go out of their way to ask what the coverage of that event is. Is there health care being provided to their sons and daughters in that? And if so, is it an athletic trainer, and is that athletic trainer an athletic trainer or a personal trainer? Is it truly an athletic trainer with the credentials that they should have to be able to provide that care that they need with that? I mean, it's exciting to be in this world. The world of sports medicine in general is is always advancing, and so we get to be at the forefront of a lot of new technologies, a lot of new just ways of thinking, of protocols that can help young athletes to kind of succeed in what they're doing. So it is an exciting field to be in.
Absolutely.
And again, talking about that when someone has an athlete on the field, to know that there's an athletic trainer around, that it's not just an LPN, an RN, an MD, because we're not trained the way you are. You know, I may be able to recognize the concussion from the sidelines, and I may be able to say, okay, we need to follow a concussion protocol, but I don't have that memorized, and I don't have that in my mind the way that you do. Or if someone's on the field and injures their knee, I can recognize what's going on, but you can manage it on the field so that person is cared for best possible way. You know how to fix this, how to immobilize it if necessary. You know how to do things that I wasn't trained to do.
Absolutely, and a big part of it too is that there's cross-education happening. The parents need to, be proactive about getting to know who their athletic trainer is at their school, especially when you're in middle school and high school. The athletic trainers that we challenge our team, you need to be proactive and get to know the parents, because the more rapport you have with the parents, with the coaches, with the other people of your community, the easier it is for them to come to you with their concerns. And we would, rather as an athletic trainer, have you ask us maybe one or two many questions versus not enough questions, because we don't want those things to go undetected. We want you to feel comfortable to come to your athletic trainer. And again, historically, there's been this misconception of, if you go to an athletic trainer, they're automatically going to hold you out of play. And that's kept some athletes and some parents from reporting things, even up to the point of concussions. The reality is we're your ally with those we help. So it's not an all or nothing thing where you have to be held out of play. There can be modifications, and the best way to get to that is by building that rapport between the parent and the athletic trainers, so that you can have those open conversations and be mutually understanding to what should be done.
Thank you very much. Thank you both for being here. Thank you for everything you do as athletic trainers, both for the public, Piscataway School District, Rutgers University. This concludes today's episode of Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital, Somerset's Health Talk. Please remember, the opinions expressed here by our medical experts are not a substitute for medical advice from your own physician. If you need a physician, please call our physician referral line at 1-888-724-7123. For more information about Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital, Somerset, please visit our website at www.rwjbh.org/Somerset. Thank you so much for what you do for the community.
Thank you.